You were sponsoring cricket, you were sponsoring everything back then, right?
Yes, so our big bet was on cricket and music because that's what the youth was into, and you said a blanket on, whatever is, yeah. So, and that worked also.
And this stayed for a while,
Yeah.
for a couple of years. This crazy growth trajectory.
Yes.
Interestingly, we come back to our tariff questions, the tariff conversation we were having earlier, because that kind of was the problem, right? The Chinese competition which came into India post.
Yes, so that was a time, and again, yeah, I will answer a couple of other questions which you were asking about, why you wanted to and all. So there were a lot of learnings also in between. So for example, when Meizu was raising the round with Alibaba, we were deep down with Alibaba that time. Yeah, raising the round and...
So our paths have been intertwined.
Yes, and a pretty big one. At that time, we were raising around $800 million round at that time.
This is in 2014.
And secondary, most of it.
Wow.
Because it was because the business was throwing so much of cash.
Right.
Yeah, so we said we don't need money, but at that time everybody wanted to connect it. I remember
You could buy a few more BMWs. Few more than few more.
maybe more. So this was going well, and then we realized that. So we didn't take that money. We said, okay, no, we are doing quite well, and we said we already have so much of.
Bad decision in hindsight?
So we thought that, if we have taken care of the Finnish and the Koreans at that time, later on, because that time we never knew, but in 2016, 70, that was a time when the Chinese brands started coming in. So we thought that, we have taken care of them, so we can, we'll take care of this also. It's okay, we'll go head on. But, that was a very, very different game because, when the Chinese came, they came up with so much of gunpowder, and you never know that where this gunpowder is coming from and whether there is an end to it or not.
Do you think the government subsidized them to come in that manner?
So
their government?
Yes. So as I said, you never know because, there were so many schemes which were running there, and not only the central level scheme, but also the state level schemes. The companies were funded by the states also. So we said, okay, we'll see. And then we started fighting. It was a prize, prize battle started going on. When the Xiaomis of the world started coming in, and then so before that, we were fighting, let's say, with the Samsungs and the Motos or the Sony Ericssons of the world, or doing pretty well. And then suddenly you start having a competition wherein if you're selling, let's say, at 100 rupees, somebody comes and say, hey, I'm 90 rupees.
And if you say 80, they'll say 70.
They'll say 70. So that's how it's race to the bottom. And then suddenly they were burning a lot of money.
But can I ask a structural question?
Yes.
While it seems like a race to the bottom, because of the scale of manufacturing they have, is the cost of production in China inherently so much lower that at 80 rupees you can't make money, but at 70 rupees they can?
So that's true, because it's the whole supply chain which is established there. So probably what we were discussing that if their BOM is 100, your BOM is 120.
But you would also be importing that type of manufacturing?
No. So we established our first plant in India in 2010.
So you started early.
Way before Make in India started. So but the components was coming from there, right? And at that time, all these brands, what we see right now, they were not there. So they started coming in. For example, all the brands were there in DVD players or MP3 players, and then they started coming out of that. And then the price war started. And and we also went into it. But somehow with the whole supply chain and everything, then slowly access to all these things started getting restricted. So for example, why Micromax became successful? Because in the industry where we are in, you're already, you're looking for a differentiation. For example, if I was designing a phone, my question to myself was first that why will I buy, or somebody will buy this phone? What is different in this phone? Why? Why somebody will not buy another phone? So I that's how the differentiators were coming in. And differentiator was not only on the feature, but also on who's going to come up with the latest chipset first? Who's going to come up, if there is a 50 megapixel camera, who's the first guy coming up with the 50 megapixel camera? If there was a fast charging coming, who's the first guy to come up with fast charging? And the distributors used to look at us that, okay, they will come up with something new every quarter. And so when that access started getting stopped, when you were
government stopped the access?
No, it's not the government, because the scale shifted somewhere else, right?
And they preferred supplying to their own companies than to you?
Right. And so the numbers and everything, because their numbers started growing up because China itself became a very big market and the scale was, became big. Because, there are a lot of theories about Micromax in the market. That this happened, that happened. Everybody can come up with their own.
Yeah. What is the theory, the most popular one?
No, I keep on hearing different ones. Oh, they went, into luxury segment or there was no R&D, all this. But I don't know how many people know when Nokia got sold, we had we took all the top Nokia, they had the gold, division. We got all gold guys from Nokia and doing the R&D at that time. But whatever this was happening, all this, coming from China, it was a global phenomena. So it was not only that we were affected. All the other, let's say, there were other brands in Turkey or in Malaysia, other places, everybody got affected. And I think in 2019 odd or so, we realized that, you can burn money, but you can burn money till the point that I'm going to win the game, right? But if the other person is having an unlimited supply, it's like a bottomless pit.
A bit like today, no? All the loss-making startups in India, all competing downwards.
Yeah. And we built Micromax, as I say, from day one, making money and doing that, never raised any capital, slowly, build it and whatever we raised.
Said no to $800 million in 2014.
So if you ask me in hindsight that...
You should have taken it.
Yeah, because that time we never knew that you had to create a war chest.
Yeah.
You create a war chest and say, okay, now let's,
The biggest bull run in Indian equity markets. Imagine you put that in equity. 2014 to today.
Yeah. So, with $800 million, you sit on the casino table and you say, okay, now play.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then after, in 2009, then we realized that, either if we keep on burning with this pace, we will get finished. We'll get completely burned out. We will not have any capital left. So we said, okay, let's stop burning money and wait for your turn and start focusing on manufacturing. And that's how we started building more factories in 19, 20, 21 and now. And that's how we, pivoted on the manufacturing game. And the whole idea is that unless and until you have access to supply chain. For example, if today I have to make a triple screen fold, I don't have access to the screen. So how do you come up with the latest?
When you say access to supply chain,
yes,
you're talking about the company in China that gives
makes the screen, okay? That makes a display. But the other bigger company there, for example, let's say Huawei has a triple screen. Huawei has already blocked that. He said, okay, for 1 year you can't give to anybody else because I am promising you this much of volume.
So Nikhil, how it happens is all partners like supply chain partners, screen, battery or processor, they work with bigger brands and everybody has an alpha customer on their list. Let's say Huawei would be the alpha customer on their list. So every first technology would go to Huawei. He will block the capacity and when it is over, it will come to us. New technology means all resources, they will depute to Huawei. Right. And then it will come to the market and Huawei will take the first leg of new product which is launching, which goes for chipsets, screens, sensor across.
But we'll never be able to make that on our own. For anybody wanting to start a consumer electronic company, you can't make that triple fold screen that this supply chain vendor is making for Huawei.
No, if you're like a startup, it is too hard to make. No. But it requires a lot of money. And probably
he might be making it.
It's at a later stage.
Yes, later stage.
Usually at a later stage.
Yeah.